Hey, what's going on? It's Gage here from the Football Friends podcast with another video for you here today, talking about the top clubs that have overpaid on transfers. Now, this article is framed as Chelsea being Europe's 6th top overpayers for transfers, but when you actually look at this image itself, you'll see that Manchester United is number one. So I sort of wanted to talk about this because there's a little bit of nuance that's sort of left out of this conversation, I believe. So yeah, when you look at these stats, this is in millions. So Manchester United have invested nearly 1.6 billion, and to the value of 1.35 billion is the estimated market value of the players that they signed. So when you what I'm trying to say is here, when you look at this row here, and we're talking in terms of percentages, it's only overpaying by 18%. I mean, when we're dealing with huge numbers in the millions and billions and stuff like that, 20% is a lot. But look, if we're talking about if you're going to buy your groceries and one supermarket is 20% more expensive, it's not really a great deal. It just seems like a lot. The gap is 238 million. So that's it. $238 million, obviously a lot to you and me, and it's still a lot for football clubs, but in terms of percentage, I don't know. 20% is not actually a tremendous amount to overpay. I think that's pretty normal. And look, Aston Villa have overpaid by 35%. I kind of feel like the percentage is almost the more interesting thing, because it's about how consistently you overpay. It's not just about the whole raw number. When you're a club like Manchester United or Chelsea, there's almost like a tax on top of a regular transfer fee just for being in the top 6 in England. Everyone knows that you have money, and that means they're going to hold out for an extra 20% because they know that you're good for it. They know that you have the money. And so Chelsea have only really overpaid by 100 million, which is only about 10%. And I think that's not even that dramatic. And when you look at the list here, what I don't see is Barcelona listed here. They're not in any of these. And of course, Barcelona is notorious for having these ridiculously insane transfers. And I'm going to go into that soon. It's just surprising that Barcelona doesn't get in there, because what are these estimated values? What do they actually mean? When they talk about the market value of a player, that is so subjective. I suppose they compare it to transfer fees of players with a similar profile, but then that's based on statistics and things like that. And a lot of that's very nebulous, and you don't necessarily know what that means. Like Manchester United recently paid, £80 million for Antony, and everyone's saying it's overpriced. He's probably worth more like 50 mil. But it's like, if he turns out to be the next Neymar, we underpaid. So it's all very relative, I'm not saying he's going to be the next Neymar, but that'd be nice. But that's what I'm saying. It's sort of hard to judge, and sometimes a table like this can kind of be misleading. But I do admit that we have Manchester United and Chelsea and Barcelona and so on have paid ridiculous amounts for transfers, and sometimes they just don't work out. And when you sign a $100 million player and it doesn't work out, well, that has a massive effect. So, but yeah, let's get into specifics. So players that Man U specifically did overpay for. So I have this list here. I won't go through all of these, but Manchester United's 26 most expensive transfer deals of all time. Most of these being quite recent, because obviously transfer fees have inflated significantly over the last decade. So first on the list is Paul Pogba, 89 million. Now, look, again, that's a huge fee, but then if we're talking in terms of market value, is that actually that wrong? I think at the time when we signed him, he was sort of peak, playing amazing at Juventus and so on. That's probably what he was worth. So I don't think that one's going to be included in it. The 83 million for Antony is 30 million. They rated him about 50 mil from what I understand. But again, that could work out. He could be an amazing player, and then the transfer fees are relevant. And then Harry Maguire, of course, everyone thinks we overpaid in this case. Probably worth more like 40 to 50 mil or something like that. I mean, when he's in form, he is a very good player, but I mean, I don't think he's as good as Van Dijk. But everyone, I mean, that's the thing. When Van Dijk was purchased for 75 mil, that would have been considered to be overpaying as well. There is no way Van Dijk had a market value of 75 million. And so Lukaku the first time, 75 million. Well, I don't think, again, at the time, this would have been considered overpaying. But he's gone on to sign for Chelsea for 90. So did we actually get a bad deal? We arguably got a better experience from Lukaku anyway. And again, Jadon Sancho, there's going to be an extra fee because he's English and we're in an English league, so having the homegrown status kind of bumps up the fee a bit as well. Possibly overpaid. No, I don't even think so. I think Jadon Sancho was such a hot prospect at the time and probably worth that. Casemiro 60 mil, probably is market value. Angel Di Maria, again, he was probably worth this amount. But him flopping is not, it doesn't necessarily mean the same thing. So that's probably about right. Wan-Bissaka 50 mil. That's probably overpaying. I'd say maybe it's probably more like 30 or something like that. It's probably reasonable, but we overpaid because he was English and so on. Crystal Palace didn't want to sell. Bruno Fernandes, no, that's almost probably underpaying, to be honest. We probably doubled his value since then. Fred, probably overpaid. Sandro Martinez, doesn't look like we overpaid. Everyone thought we did, but I don't know, he's looking pretty good to me. And, you know, these are all some older ones. Anthony Martial was only 36 million. Is that true? I suppose they're not including add-ons in this and stuff, but just plus add-ons. So that was probably a ton. So, anyway. That's the idea. Now I have some Chelsea ones. And let's see if they overpaid. So, this is in reverse order. Okay. So their most expensive was Lukaku. So for 97 million pounds from Inter. So look, there's no way our 75 mil was overpaying because he's gone on to nearly sell for 100 million pounds. And then he completely didn't work out. Now he's back on loan at Inter. That's insane. That's almost... Yeah, but again, it's not a $100 million transfer fee is not the same as overpaying. You know, it's just he is expensive player, and after that couple of seasons he had in Inter the first time, he was phenomenal. So, kind of made sense. Kai Havertz, 72 million. Now maybe this again, he was a super hot prospect when he signed, so probably on the expensive side considering how much he's done. He's definitely a decent player. But maybe not worth 72 million pounds. For real? Kepa was 71 million pounds? That is insane. I am aware that he had an amazing record when he played for Athletic Bilbao. And so he signed for 71 million pounds. So again, like what determines what is overpaying? Because look, obviously, with hindsight, this seems like one of the biggest overpays ever. You would think he's worth maybe 20 mil or something. But, like, Chelsea ended up 6th in this list rather than Man U. So, I don't know. I'm confused by this. But, yeah, 71 million. And then Wesley Fofana, 70 mil. I mean, it's kind of the going rate. Defenders are expensive now, especially if you're young and good. So, probably about right. Mark Cucurella, they did overpay because they wanted to beat Manchester City to the transfer, but I think Cucurella's phenomenal. So I don't know. Personally, I don't think this is overpaying. I think he's an incredibly good player. Morata, yeah, maybe an overpay. This is probably an overpay because Morata's best years were when he was at Juventus, and when he went to Real Madrid, he's sort of on the decline. And so paying 60 mil for a player that was kind of out of favour is a bit much. Pulisic, no, decent player, I think. Young, hot prospect. It's kind of normal to pay about that price, you'd say. Fernando Torres, well, look, Fernando Torres was incredible for Liverpool, and then just didn't work out at Chelsea. So, it just happens. Jorginho, Timo Werner, yeah, these are about right. I don't see. That's why Chelsea is 6th. Again, my bloody background remover is like deleting me. Okay, but anyway, so let's go to Barcelona. Who, remember, Did not even appear on that list at all. They never overpaid for anyone, apparently. Okay, so from the top. 160 million for Felipe Coutinho. And that's not overpaying. Like, again, he was so good. He was so good when he played for Liverpool at that time. But was he 160 mil? 160 million pounds? That's like one of the most expensive players of all time. Only like Neymar's transfer fee is higher, which was 222, and whatever Kylian Mbappe's transfer fee was. So, how did Barcelona not even make the top 10, and they paid 160 mil for Coutinho, who they later sold for 20 mil? Like, I don't think even at his peak he was worth 160 mil. So how have they not? They've probably overpaid 80 mil on this deal, you know, like, and that doesn't even make the cut. And then Ousmane Dembele, 145. I mean, maybe, yeah, maybe, because, you know, at that time, Ousmane Dembele was 2-footed and incredibly fast, incredibly good finisher, all that stuff, assists, everything. But 145 still seems on the high side. I don't know. I mean, again, hindsight, his injury proneness, what would you get from these days? 50 mil? Yeah, and then this one, 120 mil for Griezmann. Are you insane? How is that market value? It's way inflated. Griezmann was never like super prolific in the way that would be 120 million. Just, yeah, how's that not overpaying? And then they're going to lose him for 20 mil as well. Like, he's on loan back at Atletico Madrid after like a couple seasons of doing nothing. It's like so ridiculous. And then Neymar, oh, well, okay, look, they bought him for 86 and then sold him for 222. So I guess that is underpaying, and that probably offsets their entire thing. That's why they're not in the top 10. And Suarez, 82 mil, definitely not overpaying. Suarez is amazing, not gonna lie. Frankie de Jong, 75. Well, that's not overpaying because they were trying to sell him for 85 recently. So that's not. Zlatan, this is an older one. I mean, at the time, that's a crazy fee. Zlatan's amazing, but like, I don't know. So 69 mil plus Eto'o? That's crazy, man. What the hell? Oh my god, my background just disappearing. It wants to delete me today. And I reckon this one's an over. Rafinha, 66 mil. I think, again, this fee was paid because they were just trying to beat Chelsea to this transfer, so they overpaid. But yeah, and oh my god, Pjanic. So Pjanic was 65 mil, and he was 30 years old. But then because it was actually like a swap deal, but like they sold Arthur for 72 mil, who completely flopped at Juventus, is now on loan at Liverpool. But in exchange they paid 65 million for Pjanic, who, great player, but like he was 30, and I feel like this is a massive overpay. So yeah, look, overall, this table sort of tells you some things about the nature of these teams and what they pay for players and stuff. But like I said, it misses a lot of nuance. There's a lot of extra things around this, and the subjective nature of what a transfer fee should be is it's totally subjective. I mean, so yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't feel too bad, Chelsea or Man U, for being first in this list, because I don't know. Again, at the end of the day, we're talking about 10 or 20% inflation, which is not really overpaying. It's not really much of an overpay. I don't think so. Not in this economy. All right, okay, well, that's all I want to say on this one anyway. Thank you for tuning into the Football Friends podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends about this YouTube channel. And I should maybe catch some of you tomorrow in our live stream at 7:30 New Zealand time. And if not, I'll catch you next time. Cheers.